If you never got to be a child, your brain never learned how to be an adult, and that's why you're breaking down now. You were 8 years old, reading the room before entering it. 10 years old, managing emotions that weren't yours. 12, already exhausted by life. They called you mature, responsible, an old soul. But here's what no one told you. You weren't mature, you were surviving. And now you're an adult who can't rest, can't trust, can't feel safe even when nothing's wrong. This is the psychology of people who grew up too fast. Let me show you what really happened to your brain. When a child is forced into emotional adulthood, parentified, trauma-exposed, or hyper-independent, their prefrontal cortex doesn't develop like it should. You skipped the stage where you learned boundaries, play, how to receive care. Instead, you learned how to anticipate danger, how to please to survive, how to never need anyone. Psychologists call this precocious competence. You looked fine on the outside, high-functioning, capable, but inside, your nervous system was stuck in survival mode. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Growing up too fast doesn't just steal your childhood. It rewires how you experience adulthood. You become an adult who overworks to feel worth, can't relax without guilt, sabotages relationships because intimacy feels like danger, feels like a fraud, even when you're successful. You're waiting for permission to rest that will never come, because the child in you never learned that safety exists. So what actually happens in the brain? 1. Hypervigilance becomes your default. Your amygdala, the fear center, was overstimulated during critical developmental years. Now it's overactive. You scan for threats that aren't there. You expect disaster. You can't turn off. 2. You develop Fawn trauma response. You didn't get to say no as a child, so now you're a chronic people pleaser. You override your own needs. You perform emotional labor you don't owe, and you resent yourself for it. And 3. You experience success depression. You achieve the goals, get the promotion, build the life, but you feel empty because you're achieving for the child who needed validation, not for the adult you are now. Dr. Jonas Webb, who studies childhood emotional neglect, calls this living on the outside of your own life. You're present, but not here. Let me give you an example. A woman I knew was a CEO by 30. From the outside, she had it all. But every night she'd sit in her apartment and cry because she didn't know who she was outside of productivity. She never learned to just exist, to have hobbies, to be bored, to be soft. Because when you grow up too fast, rest feels like failure. Another example, a man who raised his siblings after his mom left. Now at 35, he can't commit to a relationship because the idea of depending on someone terrifies him. He spent his whole life being the strong one. Vulnerability feels like weakness. This is the cost. But here's the part they don't tell you, the part that changes everything. You don't heal by becoming a child again. You heal by reparenting yourself now. That means giving yourself permission to rest without earning it, learning to say no without guilt, letting people care for you without waiting for the other shoe to drop. The little kid inside you who had to grow up too fast, they're still there, waiting for someone to tell them it's okay to finally be small. And that someone is you. So if you grew up too fast, if you were the therapist, the caretaker, that mature one, this is your permission slip. You don't have to keep performing. You don't have to keep proving. You don't have to keep running. You're allowed to grow up again, the right way this time. Because the childhood you lost, it's not too late to give it back to yourself.